Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show, where you'll find health and fitness inspiration, motivation, and information shared in 15-minute episodes. Tune in while getting a move on to make leading and enjoying the benefits of a healthy lifestyle almost too easy. It's the Fit 15. And now your host, Catherine Basu.
Welcome to the Fit 15 podcast show. I'm your host, Catherine Basu. And today and tomorrow on the show, I will be sharing a conversation I had with Ron Chu, who is an Ironman athlete. Because the Ironman is an event that, as Ron and other Ironman athletes have told me, is kind of like going through life in one day, it's really hard when talking to an Ironman athlete to just make their journey, their story into one 15-minute episode. So, spoiler alert, today's episode is not 15 minutes long. Tomorrow's will not be 15 minutes long. They will be a little bit longer, but I think you'll find, as I did talking to Ron, that it will be worth it, and you'll get a lot of inspiration for your fitness journey, but also your life journey. And so today I have Ron on to share his journey from not an Ironman athlete to Ironman athlete, so you'll get to hear about that. And then tomorrow I have him back just to share more tips about training in general, and then life lessons from Ironman and just more of his story. So I'm really excited to share our conversation with you. Before I do, I just wanted to share something I've experienced talking to both Ron and the other Ironman athlete I had on the show, Kindal Sweet, who was on for episodes 121 and 122, and I will link in the show notes. She went from hating running, believe it or not, to becoming an Ironman athlete in a few short years. But what I've experienced from both of these Ironman triathletes, who are people that I've sometimes heard others say are very self-centered because they spend all this time training, is that really the opposite is true. Both Ron and Kindal, who do spend a lot of time training for Ironman, took time out of their days off to chat with me for their interviews to be able to share their inspiration with you, my listeners, and the life lessons that they've learned from Ironman, and to encourage and inspire you to get moving and to see all the many benefits that being active or being more active and being involved in a community of other athletes of any level can really have that positive impact that can have on your life. And so I'm just really grateful to both Ron and Kindal for that. And Ron, I set aside an hour for these interviews just because sometimes technology goes wrong or other things come up or we get into a conversation ourselves, and I want to be respectful of their time. And unfortunately, there's a lot of great nuggets of wisdom for your life and for your endurance training that Ron shared with me in the second hour that we were chatting. So he actually spent a full extra hour of his day, busy day, as he's preparing for Ironman Arizona at the end of this week, to just share life lessons and endurance lessons with me. And I had paused our official recording, so I will definitely share some notes in tomorrow's show notes about some of the other tips I got from Ron off the record. But I just wanted to say a little thank you to both Ron and Kindal again for just being the opposite of what most people think about Ironman athletes, actually very giving of their time and generous and selfless. So Ironman athletes are great people, not just for the inspiring athletic feats that they are able to complete. All right, back to my conversation with Ron, though. So a little bit about Ron, his official short bio. Ron is a retired LA County Deputy Sheriff Reserve, former EMT, two-time half Ironman triathlete, and two-time Ironman triathlete. He's running Ironman Arizona this coming weekend, so hit the show notes, find Ron on social media, and give him a little cheer to encourage him before his big race later this week. Well, welcome to the podcast, Ron. I'm so excited to have you as my guest today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I like all the things that you stand for, and I like how you're very fitness and wellness oriented.
Well, thank you. Well, we met at a half marathon race, and I thought that was a good effort for me for the day, but you were doing some training for Ironman, and I'm really inspired by Ironman athletes. So wonder if you could kind of start us off, just kind of share your story, because I didn't get to get the full story when we met initially.
Yeah, it's interesting. I really, the funny thing is if you had asked me, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, if I ever thought I could, finish an Ironman or be an Ironman triathlete, I would just be like, yeah, right. You got to be kidding. What have you been smoking, And, there's actually so much more to the story, which makes it a little bit interesting. So, I was married and have two kids, and what happened is I had a really pretty decent, fairly high paying job, and I got laid off with everybody in the company because the company was going through economic tough times, and then so I got another job, right, and you figure, hey, things are looking up. Things are getting better, right? And one day on the way home from work, there was this girl that ran out in front of my car, and I hit her. And she broke her ankle. And in her official statement to the police, she said, "I saw the car coming slowly enough. I thought I could make it, and I misjudged it." Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And it was weird because she, it was like 10 o'clock at night. She didn't have shoes on. She was in like a big long T-shirt, and it was very cold. Everyone else had jackets on, like the fire department, police officers, myself. So then she goes to the hospital and she tells the nurse, yeah, I just kind of ran out in the street without looking. And so what ended up happening is she sued us for $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so, obviously, you take those two things, you put them together, and it's kind of stressful. My ex-wife then, I didn't know it at the time. She would cry every day, and she'd be afraid that we would, lose the house and our rental and this and that,
right.
the whole American dream.
Mm-hmm.
And then so then you think, well, it can't get any worse, right? It has to get better. And this is all in the span of years, like like 3-4 years. So what's the only worst thing that could happen?
Hi friends, it's Catherine, and as I mentioned, today's episode is going to run a little bit more than 15 minutes, but if that's all you have and you're going for that out and back walk that I recommend you take while listening to the episode, you will want to turn around now. All right, back to our conversation.
She loses her job at the City of Hope. She gets laid off. And, what ended up happening is she gave up hope that there is hope, and you can never really give up hope.
Right.
And so she found greener grass, shall we say, or said another way, she was cheating on me. And then you figure it can't get any worse. And then she says she wants a divorce. So, we have 2 kids, so it's not really a simple or fun thing. So, the thing is at this point in time, I have, because of my background, I've been through, different things and hardships, so I'm kind of used to it, but not like that. And the funny thing is, I remember thinking one day, I've got training for almost anything you can imagine, because, I spent, 20 years with the Sheriff's Department and a lot of that on the rescue team. And so you get all this special training, to deal with, weapons of mass destruction, things you can't even imagine, active shooter, all the horrible things, right?
Right.
But, I never had any divorce training, and that put me on my knees.
Right.
And, I remember being in tears so many days, just so unhappy, and just, and she told me right before I was going down to a business trip in San Diego, and I literally cried the whole way down. I was there, the whole way back. Anyways, so, the bottom line is I was at a really not great place in my life, and you wonder, like a lot of people, and it may not be a divorce, it may be something else. You wonder, it's like being lost in space, going, hey, I just want to be happy. I just want my life back.
Right.
And you have no idea how to get there. With everything else, the funny thing is that I spent, 20 years rescuing other people.
Right.
And here it is, I have no idea how to get back to happy.
Right.
So, what happened is, my friend Billy, who you met at that Long Beach half marathon, who we were running, we trained together. In fact, we're racing Ironman Arizona this week.
Yeah.
I reconnected with her because, see, what happened was my ex-wife was jealous of her because, I've known Billy for, I think, over 26 years. Anyway, our friendship is longer than my marriage, but
sure.
She was there. So the thing is my ex-wife was jealous of her. And so with respect